a man that has done about as everything you can do physical and his only gear he knows is top speed, Mr. Mike Hartle.
Hey, I'll take that intro. You know, before I get going to what I had prepared, one of the things I wanted to say was, as some of you have talked, and Jordan, just how much of my life, my real life, all my most important things are happening with many of you guys. And it's such a testament. I mean, there's literally no other group like this where we are doing life together. We're winning together, and we're doing amazing things. And many of my best experiences of my life are with you all. So this photo here I chose, there's a lot going on in this photo. And I wanted to kind of talk to you about this fight just for a moment, briefly how I got here, and then my fight after the fight is what I wanted to talk about. And so I first wanted to talk about how I got here. And I asked myself, about 2017, I've been kind of going through this personal development stuff for a while. And I heard some podcast, or I was reading some book, and I can't remember necessarily what it was, but the activity was this. It was, imagine you're dying in your bed. You've got hours or days left to live, and I know we're going to do something similar like this tonight or tomorrow. But I put myself in this state, and I was imagining, I was feeling what it felt like, the cold, knowing my last breaths were near. And I asked myself the question, what are the things that would be on my mind on my deathbed if I didn't do those things? What would be the things that would haunt me on my deathbed? And at that time, I came up with 3 things that I was too scared to do at that point in my life. And the 3 things were this. I wanted to swim with a shark that could kill me. I wanted to hike the Haiku Stairs, or the Stairway to Heaven in Hawaii. And the third thing, and the thing that terrified me the most that I could think of, was I wanted to fight another human being in front of a big crowd. I'd been into MMA and fitness for a while, and that was about the scariest damn thing that I could think of. So as the universe works, I put that out I put this on my vision board, my early version of it, and I got a call, no joke, 2 weeks later from Rob Scott at Legends Boxing. He's like, hey, Mike, I'm doing this thing called this executive fight night. I'm going to get entrepreneurs to go fight each other. Do you know anybody who might be interested in doing this? And right there, I don't even think, I told him yes, hadn't talked to my wife, anything. So guys, I trained for this fight. At the time, I had multiple businesses going on. I was going through it as an entrepreneur. I had employees that counted on me. I had stresses of business going on. I was in the midst of it big time with my family. My kids were 6, 9, and 12 years old. And in the middle of all that, I had to put in a fight camp, the stress on top of that. And training for that, I trained for about 3 months. And going into that fight camp, I was sparring 4 times a week. And I knew that it was stupid. I knew that I shouldn't be. I was already studying the cognitive space. I knew about CTE. I knew about head trauma. But I just convinced myself, hey, I'm going to do it for a short period of time. It'll be okay. And the reason why I chose this photo, one, I think it's the ugliest damn photo of me that exists. I look like a shorn scrotum. I'll never shave all my hair all at once ever again. But the pain of this event is indicative of what I'd given up for this experience. And as you can tell, I'd obviously thought I had won the fight. He obviously did not think he had won the fight, even though his hand is raised. My coach is going crazy. And the flood of emotions that you feel and being high on adrenaline in a moment like this, it ended up being a perfect experience. But I sacrificed a lot to have this experience. And about a week before my fight, a lot of you know this, but I lost my sense of smell. And I knew it was bad. I went to smell some perfume from my wife, and I couldn't smell anything. I freaked out. I ran to my car. I grabbed a bottle of cologne that I'd had, and I tried to smell it, and I couldn't smell anything. I wasn't stuffed up. It was in the summer. And I knew instantly what it was, but I Googled anyway, why can't I smell? And everything, this was pre-COVID. This was before it was actually aware in the public. And everything that came up, of course, was head trauma, head trauma, head trauma. So I went to the hospital. It was the 24th of July, and everything was closed. And I went to the ER because I had a fight in 5 days. And I said, hey, I can't smell. And they're like, well, why are you here? I'm like, well, I can't smell. I'm a normal functioning human being, and I have zero sense of smell right now. So I said, I need you to give me a CT scan. I need you to tell me if I have if I have a brain bleed, if I have a skull fracture, if I have a tumor, what is going on. So they went, they did the CAT scan. They said, well, you have none of those things that we can see, but you should get an MRI for further results. But obviously, we don't want you to fight. You guys know how I am. So, of course, I ended up fighting anyway. But what happened was I figured after this, that I would get my sense of smell back right away, that, I probably had some inflammation or something. Maybe there was a little bit of short-term nerve damage. And the reality is I never started getting it back. And as the weeks and months went on, losing your sense of smell 100% was not the worst part. The reason why I knew that it was head trauma was the nerve damage. Most of the time when I would breathe, when I would smell, the air I would breathe either smelled like ammonia or burned flesh or burned hair all the time, to the point where I was nauseous all the time. And a lot of people don't know this, and it's more common now post-COVID, but people who are anosmic that lose their sense of smell, 50% suffer from severe depression. And I started kind of falling into this a little bit because, as you guys can imagine, not only is it zero sense of smell, but your taste is diminished. So it really started affecting my quality of life, and I started feeling sorry for myself. And I joined some support groups on Facebook. This was pre-COVID, like I said. And I started getting in this world, and I did everything, guys. I did everything I could to start getting this back. I did nasal specific technique where they put balloons up into my sinus and inflate those. As you can imagine how weird and gross and painful that is. I did everything possible that I could think of to try to restore this. And what started happening as the months went on, not only was I not getting my sense of smell back, but other things were happening. When you have head trauma and you can't smell, long story short, you have another nerve called your trigeminal nerve. That's what detects odors and irritants. And I would be able to tell that there was a smell, but I couldn't decipher what it was, and I started getting headaches. And in my old business, I had a big factory, and I had a lot of inks and chemicals there. And by the end of the day, not only could I not smell, I couldn't taste, but I started getting severe headaches, almost migraine-like headaches every day. And then got to the point where my vision started getting blurry. And this was about 6 to 8 months after, and I'd been focused on being the best version of myself, and I kind of hid what I was going through from a lot of people. Even my wife and my family probably didn't know how much it was affecting me, but about this time, I started getting pretty unhappy, and I started having recurring nightmares. And about every week, I started having this nightmare, and in this nightmare, I had lost all my senses. I couldn't see, I couldn't hear, I couldn't smell, I couldn't touch, I couldn't do anything. And I was basically alive in a body, in a vessel that could not experience the world. And I thought at the time that I was developing a neurological condition. I thought I was getting ALS or MS or something worse because these things were progressing, and I started getting more and more unhappy. And about 2 or 3 months into this, getting this recurring dream, I had one night where I had a particularly bad version of this. I was in this state like sleep paralysis where I couldn't experience the world. I couldn't see anything, but I was alive. I was conscious. And I was in the complete black, but for some reason I could tell that my family was around me, and they were trying to communicate with me. And in this state, I was trying to communicate to them that I wanted them to kill me because I couldn't experience life anymore. And I was trying to figure out a way to kill myself, and I couldn't even figure out a way to bash my head against the wall in this dream because I couldn't feel where I was at, and I couldn't even try to kill myself. And I woke up in a night sweat, in the pitch black, and I was, terrified. And I walked into the bathroom in this pitch black, and I flipped on the light. And when the light hit my eyes, in that state, in that moment, I was so grateful that I could just see, that the light was in my eyes, and I could just see, and I stopped right there, and I said a prayer, and I said, God, thank you. Thank you that I can see. Right there, I started weeping, that I was just so grateful that I could see. And right there, I realized the power of what I did have and not what I didn't. And the next day I woke up and I quit the Facebook group that I was part of, this group for survivors or whatnot. And I trained my brain every time throughout the day that every time that I felt sad that I couldn't smell, every time that I felt left out, every time that I couldn't taste something, every time that somebody said something or I was experiencing something related to the loss of smell, I instantly traded that out for something that I was grateful for. And I had, as I started going through this progression, I noticed I was being reminded of, not being able to smell 10, 20 times throughout the day. And instead, I was able to replace this with the practice of gratitude. And as I did this throughout my life, my entire life got better. Everything got better in my life. And I can tell you, I honestly don't care at all that I can't smell anymore. It doesn't bother me at all. Not only do I not care, but I began healing. The headache started going away. I made some changes in my life that got me out of some of those circumstances and situations I was in. But I learned gratitude and the power of how it can be my superpower. And so, guys, my message to you is this. I know a lot of times some of you feel like you're in the dark, like there's no way out. But I promise you, if you just focus on the light, if you just focus on even the small things, if no matter where you're at or what you have going on in your lives, there will always be something that you can look to, something that you can be grateful for, that you can build on. And as you go through that and you attach your gratitude to those different things, it will change your life like it did mine, and you will be happier and better off than you've ever been. That's my message for you, brothers. I love you.